BHP number 2 bar mill, bar profile gauge. Entered by BHP Rod and Bar Products Division, the profile gauge overcomes the shortcomings of manual sampling to check the dimensions of bar mill products. The gauge works by creating a plane of light through which the product passes. 4 camera angles are combined to provide a complete view of the cross-section of the product. There are no moving parts and the process is self-calibrating and automatic. AMP Controls Integrated Protection Relay, a product which is the result of 2.5 years of research and $350,000 investment. The need to develop an advanced microprocessor protection system was seen after detailed investigation of other technology used in the world's mining industry. AMP Control's innovative relay can be used on mobile machines running at voltages from 450 to 6,500 volts and provides 7 individual protection functions. Mines Protection Monitoring System, nominated by the Centre for Industrial Control Science and Advanced System Integration. Monitoring is provided by installing microprocessor units in all mine vehicles and equipment, radio telemetry linking the relevant information back to a host computer. By being able to know what's working, what's broken, what's spare and so on, efficient management of a complex operation can be achieved, matching available labour and machinery resources. International 85 Yacht Fisherman, a motor yacht nominated by International Yachts and Priestley Electrical. Built for Golfing International Greg Norman, the yacht tender was won against worldwide competition. With the yacht required to have both scuba and sport fishing facilities and luxury accommodation, it was necessary to design an electrical power distribution system that was both flexible and reliable, and able to be contained in restricted spaces. The boat's ultimate home base, Florida, also had to be considered. Engineering challenges included the construction of the fiberglass hull using a unique method of hand-laid panels rather than an expensive mould. Reconstruction of Main Road 223, Lake Macquarie City Council. This 2.6 kilometre section of road is a vital connection from Wallsend to the F3 freeway. The project made difficult by the need to satisfy the varied and often conflicting demands of local commuter and inner city traffic. Outstanding features of the design included a reinforced earth retaining wall, a steel arch structure and unique design of a roundabout. The $9.2 million project was completed on time and within budget. Wickham Public School, Honeysuckle Development Corporation and New South Wales Public Works. The building suffered major structural damage during the earthquake and subsequent vandalism. Restoration of the historic landmark buildings posed a major engineering challenge. Techniques such as inserting remedial brick ties to strengthen the building and adapting the classrooms to provide 22 residential units while maintaining the original design are impressive features of the project. More than $3.3 million was spent restoring the building. The Swamp Creek Bridge reconstruction, Cessnock City Council. The old timber bridge at Abermain was replaced with a composite precast concrete and timber deck unit. The system is cost-effective, low maintenance and an alternative to replacing decaying timber girders and decking. The reconstruction work was carried out with one lane of the bridge remaining open to traffic at all times. The bridge is now much quieter than the timber deck it replaced. Construction of the East Ballina Bypass, David Ardhill and Associates and Geolink. This $4.5 million bypass carries more than 10,000 vehicles a day. Intrinsic to the bypass was a new crossing of North Creek, a sandy tidal estuary. The route was forced to pass through mangrove wetlands and a habitat for migratory wading birds. To redress this significant ecological loss, a plan was implemented to create 5 hectares of compensatory mangrove wetland and a 6-hectare bird roosting site on a nearby island. Ongoing monitoring has shown the created habitats to be viable. Auditorium air conditioning, Civic Theatre, Carrington Cronshaw Dickinson Smith. Claimed to be unique as installed at the Civic, the system introduces conditioned air via the seats, avoiding wasting energy conditioning the huge unused volume of the auditorium. The induction nozzles are at the base of the chair back. The unique aspect of the Civic installation is that it was a refurbishment rather than a new building. The system provides a quiet, close temperature controlled environment and low operating cost. Berth extension and stockyard replacement, Port Waratah Coal Services, and Guttridge, Haskins and Davey Limited. The upgrading of the Kooragang Coal Terminal involved dredging 780,000 cubic metres of clay containing industrial residues, the material then being stored in special bunded areas on Kooragang Island. The dredging of over 2 million cubic metres of sand to reclaim land, construction of a 315 metre long berth and the reclamation of 32 hectares of land for the proposed stockyard extension are all features of the project. The value of these works was approximately $75 million. The berth constructed in 53 weeks, some 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Cotton Ginning Facility, F.R. Kelly and Associates. Queensland Cotton's first New South Wales gin has a capacity of 100,000 bales. It's been built on a site planned for fast-track construction of a second gin for future expansion. Through the guidance of F.R. Kelly and Associates, suitable companies were chosen to undertake the many contracts of the project, ranging from earthworks to specialist dust equipment, electrical and hydraulic work. The remote greenfield site called for an effective management style. Sydney Mini Mill Stage 2, BHP Steel. The construction of the Sydney Steel Mill at Rooty Hill in Western Sydney commenced in 1988, the second stage getting underway in late 1992. This stage comprises a reheat furnace, rolling mill, finishing end, acoustically treated mill building, warehouse and extension to the water treatment plant. The project involved a coordinated effort from various divisions of BHP and has achieved an excellent safety record. It was completed ahead of time and below budget. Relocation of operation floor charge car rails, BHP Rod and Bar and Lindsay and Dynon. To enable BHP's coke ovens to match the expected life of the blast furnaces, an ambitious, proactive maintenance campaign was introduced. One of the most ambitious and complex components of this program was the realignment of the charge car rails and rebricking of the operating floor. The overriding criteria was minimal disruption. In spite of the difficulties, the design and construction program devised enabled successful completion of the project. The coke ovens are now expected to outlast the blast furnaces. Blast furnace life extension, BHP Rod and Bar division. With completely new technology on the horizon, current plant must continue to operate efficiently with minimum environmental impact. One concern was replacing failed cooling elements on the number 4 blast furnace. Following the conventional path of taking the furnace offline was too costly, so an alternative method of replacing cooling elements on an operating blast furnace was devised. To complete this difficult task, many innovative approaches were developed, and the work was undertaken by specially trained crews. ICI Explosives Centre, ICI Australia Operations. The ICI Explosives Technical Centre has been developed on a 292-hectare bushland greenfield site along George Booth Drive, 7 kilometres east of Currie. Completed in early 1995, the centre comprises an integrated research, technical, engineering and operations facility of international standing. ICI management, physicists, computer scientists, chemists, engineers, draftsmen and technicians have been gathered together in one strategic location, all playing a role in the mining explosives industry. The reuse of treated effluent at Araring Power Station, Hunter Water Corporation, Memtech and Pacific Power. Araring Power Station uses recirculated lake water for cooling the main condensers, but for other purposes 4 megalitres per day came from Hunter Water Corporation's domestic supply. The construction of the Dora Creek wastewater treatment plant produced an opportunity to substitute treated effluent for the domestic supply. The water reclamation plant at Araring is now producing such high-quality water it can be used for everything bar drinking and showering. It has also meant a zero discharge of effluent to an ocean outfall from a community of 16,000 people. Upgrading secondary wastewater treatment and disposal at Aberdeen Abattoir. AMH Group Services. The engineering challenge has been to deliver an economic program of wastewater treatment which provides satisfactory environmental protection coupled with the benefits of recycling and energy efficiency. The treatment process uses state-of-the-art technology and incorporates anaerobic ponds which are covered to contain odours and to capture the biogas produced for further use. An intermittent activated sludge process combined with anoxic tanks for two-stage nitrogen removal is also utilised. As part of the project, extensive landscaping has been undertaken.
The polluted soil is from a coal retrieval facility in Sydney. According to Coal and Allied, it contains the contaminants of petrochemical and lead. To clean it up, the company has laid out around 850 cubic metres of the material at the former Rhondda Colliery at Taralba. It's being treated according to EPA guidelines and will be tested after 3 months. Ultimately, Lake Macquarie Council believes the company will get rid of the soil down the mine workings. While Coal and Allied sought advice from the EPA, it failed to let Council know what it was doing.
Council's main concern is that it hasn't been consulted before the material was taken on site.
Director of Environmental Services John Park says Council is disappointed it wasn't notified and the necessary approval process followed. The matter will be raised at tonight's meeting. Coal and Allied said this afternoon it was unsure why Council requirements weren't considered and the situation will be rectified. Coal and Allied says it won't be bringing any more contaminated soil onto the site. It will also go about seeking the necessary approvals from Council. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Although Cronulla was the Knights' preferred opponent for Saturday's match, Newcastle is expecting nothing less than another intense struggle in a bid to keep their season alive.
They're in a fairly confident frame of mind at Cronulla, and I don't think that loss will have deterred that confidence.
There are no major injury concerns, allowing coach Really to name an unchanged lineup, with Brett Grogan once again named in the centres for Nathan Barnes, who is unlikely to recover from ankle damage this season. 5 players are likely to need painkilling injections before taking the field, including Andrew Johns, who unlike last week will be able to train over the coming days. Johns is the Knights' leading contender for the Rothmans medal announced in Sydney tonight, the improvement in his shoulder adding to the growing confidence.
There's a real chance of achieving something extraordinary, so I think everyone's in that frame of mind that just play one game at a time, get over this weekend and anything's possible.
Three of 7 were out training this afternoon, preparing for a gruelling start to the Uncle Toby season, the Gold Coast Gold Marathon over 42 kilometres. With Joshua Blair, Matt Rees has already contracted to the series and looking forward to returning after injury marred his last season.
It was hard sitting out, but it sort of makes you realise how much you enjoy it, so I'm dying to get back in there and have a go again. I can't wait till Sunday.
Lake Club's Drew Blatchford won't compete. He's suffering from a virus, while Chad Griffith, Adrian Tobin, Gavin Johns and Redhead's Boyd Conrick are all trialists vying for 10 contracts in the series. The Gold will be the first of 2 trials, the other on October the 1st, with Tobin gearing up for the race of his life.
It'd be good just to race the older blokes, get up there against Trevor and the boys and just hopefully to get through the top 10 in that sprint race 3 weeks later.
Melissa Thurlow and Nadine Watson will also compete over a 20-kilometre course, an attempt to qualify for the increasingly popular Devondale series.
The exposure that the girls have got over the last couple of years is just incredible compared to what it was 5 years ago when I sort of first started, so something good to try and get into.
Andrew John says he was honoured to get in the top few in the Rothmans medal and that Cronulla's Paul Green was a worthy winner. But if the Knights have their way, the cheeky Sharks halfback won't be a winner on Saturday.
I'm working him this week and, he's a pretty good sidestepper and got a good kicking game, so we've got to watch him this weekend. We're working on this week at training.
Johns believes the Knights have to improve 40 to 50% on their game against Norths to beat Cronulla. One glaring problem for Newcastle is the high ball, coach really hinting he might fight fire with fire.
It is very difficult to defend against that type of pinpoint accuracy, and we hope to be able to do a little bit of that ourselves.
Really says from here is the chance for his players to fulfil a dream. Meanwhile, it seems Andrew Johns isn't just a fine footballer, he's also a fashion trendsetter.
You must be due for another haircut.
I don't know about that, everyone's got one now.
Peter Ryan, NBN News. They call it their piece of paradise, Patterson near Maitland, population just over 1,000 people.
Heaven. Yes, absolutely beautiful.
But some locals are angry that the area may change with the draft strategy defining a possible rezoning of more than 1,000 hectares around the town. It would go from rural to 1E, meaning the area would be open to development.
We're not against development, we just want it to be much less intense development than is allowed for in this document.
It's believed some blocks would be as small as half a hectare, about 5 times a normal house block. It could mean an extra 2,000 people over the coming years. Dungog Council's Mayor Alan Fairhall says it's simply cutting the red tape on development which will eventually come anyway. Any public comment, he says, is still welcome. Residents are holding a meeting in the town tonight to discuss the issue. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Since 1875, the Sisters of Mercy have lived in this Singleton convent. They've dedicated their life to the church, following its teachings. Yet in many ways, they've remained hidden behind cloistered walls. With their numbers dwindling, the sisters realise they must act to save their precious mother house. Tonight is the beginning of that change, and today there was an excited hum as the sisters prepared for their big night. "200 guests will see this exhibition by local artist Vivian Dwyer. For a year she's roamed the gardens, capturing its serenity and uniqueness.
I was always looking for a warmth of personality that I felt when I was with the sisters.
The exhibition signals the start of a change which the sisters are welcoming with open arms. Over the weekend, the Frederick Menkins designed convent will open its doors for all to see. Once a home to scores of nuns, there's now just 14 sisters who live within its hallowed halls.
I think that religious women and religious men today are very much about what other good people of the world are about, making the world a better place. And we don't need to be shrouded in mystery anymore. We're very open about what we do, and so I want the convent to be open in that way. There's nothing to hide, there's everything to share.
Sister Monica Sinclair wants the community's help in finding a use for the convent, one which will go hand in hand with their work and beliefs.
I'm hoping that it will be perhaps a cultural focus for some activities, that it will be a place of hospitality, and that it would be a place where people would want to come to perhaps withdraw a while, to reflect, to enjoy what we have, and to go away spiritually refreshed and every other way refreshed.
The triathlon sets an arduous but picturesque course for competitors. Starting from the main street of Gloucester, they take a 22-kilometre bike ride over the Buckets Range. This competitor, let down by his equipment, managed to finish in the top 10. The second leg is an 11-kilometre kayak paddle down the Barrington River, the recent rain much needed. It's here, though, that the event is won or lost. Competitors then run 9 kilometres back into town. Tim Doyle from Wagga won the men's for the second time in as many years. Karen Maund from Cardiff South in Newcastle won the women's.
Five of the world's premier golf nations attended the Commonwealth Tournament in Sydney last week, many remaining to tackle our National Amateur Championship in Newcastle, just the second time it has been held outside a metropolitan area.
The biggest international field we've had now since the mid-1980s, I think, when the Centennial Teams competition was held, so yes, best field we've had for a long time.
And they were all tested by the demanding Newcastle layout, which is difficult at the best of times. But a stiff southerly made scoring even tougher for the first round of qualifying. Interest centred around the trio of defending champion Terry McKinnon, British champion Julie Hall and 1993 amateur champion Anne-Marie Knight. All struggled in the conditions, with Knight picking up a rare birdie on the 13th with a magnificent approach, then drained the 10-metre putt. She carded a 3 over 76 with Tanya Holes, Simone Williams and Anne Johnson heading the Aussie charge. The second qualifying round is tomorrow, with the best 32 to go on to match play, which starts on Wednesday.
The planned upgrade and expansion of Pasminco's Bullaroo zinc and lead smelter has been on the drawing board for more than 3 years. Finally, it's been given the green light after a commission of inquiry spanning 8 months. The commission recommends the establishment of an environmental planning committee to oversee strict environmental and health controls.
It's imperative that they be followed through. I think that's important for the benefit of the community. There's a lot of concern in the Bullaroo area particularly concern over the Section 149 certificates and how we can possibly help the people there.
149 certificates relate to lead contamination warnings on homes near the smelter and have caused the devaluation of properties. The commissioners added that they were satisfied that the community, the company and government authorities had had ample opportunity to have their say in the process.
There was always concern about the lead and the blood levels and the Section 149 certificates. I don't think there was actually opposition to Pasminco expanding if in fact they could improve the quality of the air and the problems that had been there.
After 15 years as General Manager of West's Leagues Club, Bob Ferris has announced he is calling it a day. He will take up the job of Chief Executive Officer of the controversial Super League team, the Hunter Mariners.
I'm confident that given time, people of the Hunter Valley will come to follow the Hunter Mariners and the majority of them will come to support them.
Mr Ferris decided to go after West's members made it clear they didn't want their club involved with the Mariners. Earlier today, the ARL's Dennis Fitzgerald preempted Ferris's press conference by himself announcing that Ferris would resign. He then fired this broadside.
I think it's been very disturbing that someone like Mr Ferris, in his role, supposedly as Chief Executive of a Leagues Club, has been virtually trying to pull down what the Newcastle Knights have built up over a very difficult period since they came into the competition.
Bob Ferris was unimpressed.
The Knights have never had a more successful season. How can Dennis say that?
Mr Ferris takes up the position with the Mariners next month. He will be replaced at West by Vice General Manager of the club, Philip Gardner.
The new man charged with keeping racing's integrity in New South Wales, Ray Murrahy, was amongst a host of guests at today's Beaufort Club lunch. The traditional Cameron Eve function was one of the more relaxing events for racing's new troubleshooter, who has a difficult task given the recent jockey tape scandal.
As a stipendiary steward, you're probably not used to level sailing water anyway, so it doesn't deter us. I look forward to sort of better times where the state will be held and its reputation will be acknowledged as being a fine racing state.
One stable out to avoid the wrath of the stewards tomorrow will be the Perrys. Father Paul is overseas, leaving his sons to saddle up Mansell Bay, clearly chosen Lust for Luck and Newmarket winner Pimpala's son.
Nice present for Dad on his return if you guys could present him with his first Cameron.
Oh geez, the race would really worth twice as much to us then, yeah.
Meantime, in Thursday's Winfield Newcastle Gold Cup, Kevin Latimer's RD'd, which won the Ipswich Cup, will start as one of the favourites in the Group 3 event. A former understudy to Perry and Max Lees, Latimer hopes to be the first local to win the Cup for over 30 years.
To watch them take out the feature races over the years, it's been good, especially being a part of their stables, but it'd be nice now to do it myself, and it'd be a pretty proud moment if we get the money on Thursday.
9-year-old Fagan is one of 2 police dogs in northern New South Wales. His handler is Senior Constable Perry Byrne, who trained him after he was found dumped at a Woy Woy rubbish tip in 1988. The 2 are now best friends, but Fagan's days as a police dog are limited.
We've just found out from the vets that they've starting to go a little bit in their back legs, and obviously when the dogs are starting to go in their back legs, they can't work anymore. So unfortunately, it's time for them to retire.
The North's other dog, Clyde, is also calling it a day, both destined finally for a dog's life in the backyard. So the search is on for 2 new male German Shepherds, aged between 12 and 18 months.
We want dogs that have got a very good temperament. We want dogs that are bold but not aggressive. And we also, after dogs, mainly our training evolves around retrieving and fetching things. So if we have a dog with a fanatical retrieve or fetching would be great.
The dogs are used by police for sniffing out drugs, searching for missing people, arresting armed offenders and patrolling city streets. Fagan has in the past saved his owner from being stabbed and protected him from assaults, tasks which the new dog will also have to perform. But in return, his life will be pretty good.
It's just a fantastic life for a dog. They've just looked after so well, so whoever's got a dog out there that we need one badly.
They are slippery, ugly and can bite. Eels aren't everyone's favourite fish.
While a lot of people look at them as probably they looked on snakes some years ago, they are a species that is under pressure and we've got to manage them properly.
Illegal eel traps are being found by fisheries inspectors in freshwater streams and waterholes. The fishermen hauling in tons of eels, some for the popular markets in Southeast Asia.
They're exported live and they're highly sought after. And what we're doing is fishing them out too quickly.
The illegal traps are not only snaring eels but also other natives like platypus, Australian bass and tortoises. The government allows about 30 special permits for legal trapping in New South Wales, but any illegal trappers can face a $20,000 fine if caught out. Landowners who allow trapping on farm dams or waterways can also face the full force of the law. Peter Ryan, NBN News.